Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Draft Room. This is the draft show of the Packernet podcast. Appreciate y'all stopping in and checking it out today. We're going to keep it kind of similar. A little bit of news and notes, which there's almost none. I've been trying to scour around. It's mostly opinion-based right now. The Super Bowl is a decent time. Because right now in the offseason, all you're really looking for is any opportunity to get everybody together. When you got the media, the front offices, the scouting staff, like everybody's there. Scouting staff's maybe not as much. They're off doing other stuff. But it's always a good time to hear some rumblings, some different thoughts that people have. But so far, very few and far between. A lot of other opportunities will be upcoming in the near future. And there's also a ton from prior, but again, I don't really want to go back too much and dig around. I'm retroactively going back right now, looking at some news and notes and applying it to my big board, so all these notes will be in there if anybody wants to check that out. But as far as going back now and doing that, The only thing I really did see today, actually I have something from yesterday as well, I believe, but Charlie Campbell over at walterfootball.com. A lot of people really, really dislike Walter Football. And granted, their rankings and their mocks are usually very different than what you're going to see in a lot of other places, which part of me really likes that. But beyond that, Charlie is legitimately plugged in. I can't speak about Walter as much, but Charlie Campbell is very, very, very legit when it comes to this stuff. Has a lot of insider information. And this isn't really earth-shattering, but it's worth talking about, especially since we did cover quarterbacks. And I mentioned Ty Simpson is a weird one. All right, we know about Mendoza. We know a lot of the other guys are probably not going to be jumping up anywhere near the first round. They're kind of later round conversations. Ty Simpson is the one that's floating in there. Is he going to jump up because somebody's going to reach because they really either like him or are desperate? Could he possibly fall? Don't really know. Here is what Charlie Campbell wrote in his latest article from today. Entering the 2026 NFL Combine, the number one pick, nearly foregone conclusion. However, after Mendoza, there's no indication as to when the next quarterback will come off the board. Alabama's Ty Simpson is a consensus second quarterback prospect, and some in the media have projected him to a mid to late first-round pick. After reaching out to a number of team sources, they have a wide range of where they think Simpson will go. 2 directors of player personnel. Again, I don't know how he gets these phone numbers, but he's got them. 2 directors of player personnel thought Simpson would be a late first-round pick, while another director of college scouting thought Simpson would go in the top 20. Another national scout thought Simpson could rise very high. Quote, "I think he goes high," texted the national scout. "He's got good tape, great kid, will interview well. I think he rises high in the process." He then goes on to point out a very important detail, and this is where I always want to enforce to keep an open mind. Everybody is so unbelievably close-minded. No, he will go exactly at this time to exactly this team. He says, at this point, for the 2018 NFL Draft, Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield was being projected as a pick in the back half of the first round. Mayfield rose through the process and ended up being the number 1 overall pick. In the same draft, Louisville's Lamar Jackson was being projected in the back half of the first, and he ended up being a very late first-rounder. Still early in the process, Simpson's potential is there to rise or stagnate. In my latest mock, I have one of those scenarios playing out. Right now, team sources are split on whether Simpson goes late in the top 20 or rises high. Here was the other note that I found, not intentionally, also about Ty Simpson. This is from 93.7 The Fan. It says, the Pony Express, excellent Steelers insider, Nick Farabaugh, says sources at the Senior Bowl are telling him Steelers really like Ty Simpson. Here is that audio.
The one that I heard that perked my ears up, and I heard it multiple times, which is why it perked my ears up, is the Steelers, they like Ty Simpson. That's the one that perked me up. I know that there's been a lot made of the connection to Garrett Nussmeier, and I understand that, especially, Tolzien's coaching him this week. But there was a lot of Ty Simpson buzz around the Steelers.
So it would be the most, obviously Rodgers isn't making the decision, but it would be the most Rodgers thing ever to have everybody saying, here it comes, here's that first round pick, this is it. And they draft his replacement just like they did with Jordan. Instead of taking T. Higgins, they take Jordan Love. Instead of taking some top receiver that's actually going to help out, that you're going to pair with DK and all that stuff. And boy, we're going to ride off into the sunset. They decide now is the time to build for the future and have a guy sit, which is probably the right decision, by the way. Assuming you like Ty as a quarterback, you don't take him just for the heck of it. But if you believe he genuinely can be that guy, that is the right decision. But man, that's going to piss off Rodgers. Watch him just retire right after that. All right, that's all I got. We'll see. This note also has been placed in the old big board, so all this stuff will be sitting there. All right, with that, why don't we move on over to our calls? We got 2 new calls. This is not a new caller on our other show, but it is for this show, and new callers go directly to the front of the line, even if you're a veteran caller on the other show. So let's go ahead and get her started with new caller, a.k.a. Randy from Minnesota.
Hey, Ryan, it's Randy from Minnesota.
What's up, dude?
Checking out the new pod.
Appreciate you.
I didn't know whether to call into this or call into After Dark, but I know this is probably really stupid. But, man, I have just got a real hunger for that quarterback out of Iowa. God, I wish we could get that boy. He seems exciting, hard-nosed, blue-collar.
Sure.
And he has a lot of qualities that Malik has, I believe. I've seen him play at Iowa, and I thought he was fantastic, but I know he's like 275 on the board, at least what I've been looking at. But it would be nice to get him, and I'd like to know what you think. And also, when I've been doing my mock drafts, I've been waiting on cornerback till the later rounds, and I keep on coming up. I'm driving, I can't look. But I believe the name is the cornerback out of Iowa, T.J. Lee. Excuse me, an actual name that everyone can pronounce. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would, if you have a chance, take a look at that, because he's always there, because I'm drafting defensive line, offensive line, and first, and going a little bit heavier on the O-line. And but he keeps on popping up where I'm drafting, like in the 5th, 6th round. So anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for a new pod. Appreciate it. And go Pack Go. Bye.
Well, I really appreciate you, dude. I obviously this is a lot of extra work for me. I'm struggling a little bit to keep my head above water. I'm looking at noon and I'm like, bro, I'm never going to get this stuff done. It seems like it would go fast. It's, an hour for this one, an hour for this, 3 hours of your day, and then you get the rest of your day. I haven't been able to have a second to myself. I'm down here doing podcasts all day. Part of that is my freaking ADD nature. I can't stop just scrolling and looking for things and then doing 3 things at once rather than just freaking start, dude. But it's appreciated that you guys are supporting it, because if I was doing it and nobody wanted to call in and the numbers show nobody was listening, I'd have to cancel it. And I don't want to. I enjoy this. I'd like to do this. I'd like to be able to provide this. And it's going to make me better at what I do to be, locked into these types of details, because the off season is obviously very important. And it's hard to stay focused on the off season when you're in season. So appreciate you guys. All right. So Gronowski, I think it's who you're talking about the first time, the quarterback. He made some splashes already in the, I believe, East-West Shrine is what it was. Yeah, Shrine Bowl. He was looking real good out there, impressed a lot of people. That was kind of what put him on the map, at least for me, to really start to notice him. He did have an ACL tear early, which is obviously going to worry some people, but the good news is it was early, as in like 2022. No, 2021. So he came back 2022, led SDSU to championship win over North Dakota State, got MVP, all that stuff. So, 2022, 2023, all on and on. So obviously, I'm not going to say that there isn't any concern. They're going to have to run their medicals or whatever, but it's better than what you're going to find with a guy that just happened in 2025. There's going to be all kinds of worries about what kind of a player will he be coming out the other side. We already know that. Another potential flag is he's 24 years old. He'll be 25 years old in October of this year. So the age is going to be another factor. Apparently, he is the winningest quarterback in NCAA history with 58 starts and a 49-6 record, which is obviously freaking remarkable. He was MVP in 2022 and 2023, and then went 9-4 while at Iowa in 2025. Walter Payton Award in 2023. Offensive Player of the Year 2023, first-team All-American, 4-time captain. Again, stood out at the Shrine Bowl, 7 of 10, 86 yards, 28 rushing yards. Threw a really big block, which impressed a lot of people. I don't know that he has Malik Willis level rushing ability. It's probably closer to Jordan Love level rushing ability. Could be wrong about that, but I don't think he's expected to have that sort of elite top tier speed and burst. He's got, I think, a handful of carries that are cracking the 20+ mile an hour mark. Not a ton, and not a ton beyond that either. But I'm all in on grabbing a quarterback for the Packers, which is what we're talking about for those that are not quite sure. I think Malik has kind of ignited something in me, and a lot of Packer fans have been on this for a long time, the importance of getting a really good backup quarterback. And my whole thing is like, there's no good backup quarterbacks. Like your season is screwed if your quarterback goes down. But he has really invigorated something in me in wanting to find somebody that can be developed into at least a quarterback that can play well, especially if he's mobile and kind of brings another dynamic. Because when Jordan went down and Malik came in, it was a new offense, and this team had not prepared for him, and they didn't know what to do. They couldn't stop him. We looked way better, which is why a lot of people wanted Malik over Jordan. But they were just caught flat-footed. They got their freaking brains bashed in by this different style of offense. And Matt LaFleur, being the very intelligent coach he is, was able to put together a second entire offense around a completely different quarterback and make that work. So, whether that's a go out and get Justin Fields and see what happens kind of a thing, or some other quarterback that's floating out there that shows talent, and see if you can Sam Darnold the guy, or find a person to draft, I'm on board. As for the other guy, you weren't entirely sure his name, so I'm going to take a wild guess here, and you're talking about Deshaun Lee. I think you said TJ Lee. I don't see any TJ Lees. Maybe he goes by DJ or something. But there's a Deshaun Lee, cornerback out of Iowa. Both of these guys, by the way, are Midwest guys. Gronowski, understandably with his last name, from Chicago. Polish joke. Deshaun Lee is from Michigan. So it's always nice having sort of those cold weather natives, Midwest guys, all that kind of stuff. He's a little bit smaller. I mean, he's 5'11", which is not terrible. He's basically 6 foot, but he's 173. So we'll have to see. I don't know. I could try to check on the bowls if he went to any of those and had any official measurements. Maybe at the combine or something, he'll bulk up. Because if he can get up to, if he could add 10 pounds and still look good and be 5'11", 185, I don't think anybody's going to really flinch at that. 173 is tiny. I think maybe the thing that gets you the most excited is when you think, Iowa DB, Cooper DeJean, all the, the guys that have come out of there that have produced, could possibly get you a little bit excited. He's actually listed at 5'10", 190 on PFF. So, if he comes in at 190, you don't need to worry about any of that. Speaking of PFF, 75 coverage grade and 74 run defense, so perfectly adequate. It was his best year, so kind of a breakout thing there. I don't know his age. Some people list him at 21. So pretty young, breakout at 21. Gave up 427 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 3 pass breakups, 87.9 passer rating when targeted. So, yeah, it's an option. Something to dig into for sure. I think also what I'm going to do, and I've talked about this on the other show as far as my board, what I want to do is capture your guys' call-ins about, I like this guy, I like that guy, The problem is I just went back and checked, and the links did work, but as it gets older, the links don't work anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the functionality, which is going to cost me more money, but whatever, the ability to upload MP3s, and I'll download the voicemails. So that way, if we draft Deshaun Lee, I'll be able to go back to the board. I'll be able to find this voicemail of you calling in and saying this. In fact, I already did that. Now can add MP3s, and your call is officially locked in. All right, let's take a break, and we got a Beer Cheese Benny call, and then we'll start looking at some prospects. I haven't figured out what yet, but we'll figure that out. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Beer Cheese Benny here. Guys, listen, this is what we got to do, okay? Let's make it easy for Ryan. All right, I don't care if you came from Facebook. I don't care if you came from Instagram, wherever, dude. This is what you do, brothers and sisters. What we need to do, come over your mock drafts. Don't care what site you do it on, PFF, mock draft, database, or whatever.
Mine. Sure.
Do your mock draft 7 round, for the Packers. Pick your players when you get to the end, save it, or whatever, and it'll show you all your picks. Screenshot it, send it to Ryan. Ryan's got a phone. If you just send him your screenshot from whatever app, it doesn't matter. He can gather this. We can make this easy for him, okay? And Ryan, you need to play this call on Packernet, like the regular Packernet after dark.
Then you should have called into Packernet after dark.
I don't know if you can do that, but if you can, that'd be sweet.
I'll forget, but I can.
And what you do is just send it to him. We'll compile this. We will compare. And if there's, multiple players showing up and each of them, we're drafting that guy. Packernet is drafting that guy. I would love to have a final Packernet freaking Packers mock draft and see what we got. And then come that draft time, when it's all said and done, we'll see how close we got and see how excited we can be. Like, oh yeah, dude, Packernet, we got the dub, bro. Like, we got 3 picks right. So let's just make it easy on him, guys. He doesn't need to be doing all this crap. He's already doing a lot of work, okay? Appreciate you, Ryan.
Appreciate you, dude. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want, you can text this number. It does receive, it should receive images. I'm positive that it does, in fact. So yeah, if you want to screenshot it, again, if you really want bonus points, go to NFLDraftGrades.com and do a mock over there, and you can download the image and send it to me. But, wherever you want to do it is fine. And yeah, if you want, you can send it to me. Just don't just send an image because I'm not going to know what to do with that. Give me something. If you want to send the image and then call in to kind of accompany that. If you want to put some text in there to kind of add context or whatever, we can do it that way. All right. Appreciate y'all. All right. Why don't we do this? This is going to be kind of a lot, so we're going to have to do some speed rounds here. How many do we have? Sticking with offense, so we've done quarterback, wide receiver, and then we did running back, tight end. We're going to move to the offensive line, starting with offensive tackle. We have 11. 11 is a lot for 1.5 segments left. So, again, we'll have to fly through this a little bit. So, our list right now, Jude Bowery is just outside for Boston College. That gives us, we'll go top to bottom, Francis Mauigoa, Spencer Fano, Caden Proctor, Caleb Lomu, Monroe Freeling, Jennings Dunker, Blake Miller. Oh, boy. This is the third time now. Max Ahenachor. We'll figure that out for the third time. Caleb Tiernan, Isaiah World, and Brian Parker II out of Duke. That's what we're going to be going through. We will reverse order here and start with Brian Parker out of Duke. So first of all, Brian Parker was at the Shrine Bowl, so we do have some official measurements for him. Wait a minute. I see they listed him as an offensive center. I'm guessing that's just a mistake. There may be talks about kicking him inside, but he has not played center. He has exclusively been a tackle. But he officially weighed in at 6'4.5", actually closer to 6'5", 306 pounds. But he has spent 4 years at Duke. He's been a better pass blocker than run blocker, but this last year was definitely a breakout year for him. Also primarily been a right tackle, especially starting in 2024. But if we look at his run, let's start pass blocking grades: 70, 79, 85, 83. So he's been good his entire career, but his last 2 years especially, he's looked really, really good as a pass blocker. His run blocking, though, went from a 60 to a 66 to a 69 to an 84. So it kind of exploded. Now, it's a little weird because it was the first half of the year he was elite. The second half of the year he just was kind of as a run blocker, so I don't really know why that happened. Like a lot of guys, he's got a pretty strong family tree. His cousin Derek is a Dallas Mavericks center who went 12th overall in the NBA draft. They share a grandfather, Charles Edward Phillips, who was a Xavier University basketball player. Brian's paternal grandfather, Barry Parker, was a scoring machine at Bucknell in 1950s, leading the Bisons in scoring multiple years. 3 generations of D1 athletes in 2 different sports. Very, very smart guy, has an economics degree, finished in December of 2025 while playing elite ACC football. His processing speed and on-field matches his classroom performance. He is projected to be more of an interior guy, which doesn't help that he's played 0 snaps inside, but that is the projection. So we'll see exactly how that plays out. There's a lot of, every year we hear about his arms are too short, he can't play tackle, he's going to have to be a guard. And then we're going to hear David Bakhtiari tweet about how they said the same thing about me, and look what happened. We'll see. So he's listed at tackle on the consensus board, so we'll call him a tackle, but you're probably looking at an interior guard here. With that, you have to assume there's going to be some time to develop, taking a tackle, putting him at guard, and expecting him to go out and be a Pro Bowl guard in the NFL year 1. It's not impossible, but it's tough. Then we've got Isaiah World, tackle out of Oregon. Absolutely massive human being. We don't have any official measurements, but unofficially listed at 6'8", 320. I'm guessing we don't have any arm length issues with this guy. The grades are really not fantastic. It'll be interesting to see. A lot of times people will look at the year prior as sort of like that's the year to look at, and will not necessarily disregard his most recent year, but kind of. He spent 3 years at Nevada, had kind of a breakout year. His run blocking was still kind of so-so, typical Packers tackle. The run blocking was a 60. He had a 82.4 pass blocking grade, gave up 1 sack, 2 hits, 12 hurries on the season. Transfers to Oregon and kind of regressed a little bit. The stats weren't significantly worse, almost identical, just 3 more hits given up. But his pass blocking grade went from an 82 down to a 62. So, this is a guy that coming into the season, prior to this 2025 season, there were talks about him being easily first-round pick. Easily. Like, comfortably. He did suffer an injury in the USC game, Week 13, and he had 3 appalling games, and all 3 of them came after that. I think it was Minnesota game. Minnesota game, he got hurt. USC game the next week, he sat out most of that game, came back against Washington, had a 37 pass blocking grade, went against James Madison, lower competition, did fine. Then Texas Tech 28 grade, Indiana 20 grade. So that actually is probably a big part of the issue, is that he hurt his ankle. If you disregard those 3 games, he's probably still at least in the 70s as a pass blocker. He also had 2 of his worst run blocking games in that span as well, against Washington and Indiana. Still, his stock kind of plummeted as a result of that. I guess he also suffered a lower body injury in the Peach Bowl loss to Indiana. Had to withdraw from the Senior Bowl. That doesn't help him. I don't know how much teams care about this. This is kind of a weird variable that is relatively new, so I haven't heard how teams feel, but it sounds like he transferred to Oregon to make a huge pile of money. I don't personally see anything wrong with that, but I don't know exactly what that's going to do for people. He had a great thing going in Nevada. He transfers specifically to go to a place where they offered him the most amount of money, and it didn't go very well. The other really big issue with him is penalties. He has, via PFF, 40 penalties over his 4 years. It's pretty remarkable. So he's a very interesting prospect because he's one of the guys, and there's a lot of them, there always are, but there's a lot of them in this draft class where he was getting early first-round talk prior to the season and then fell. But there's also, reasons for that. There's injuries and all kinds of stuff. So, first of all, is he actually 6'8", I guess, is a controversy. So we'll have to get some actual measurements in and see exactly what he's doing, get the medicals all checked out, make sure his ankle's okay and all that. He could go relatively early. He could end up falling relatively late. I mean, again, on the consensus board, he's sitting at 77. So we're talking, third round. But he easily could climb, I would say, to the top of the second if people are buying all the way in on his 2024 tape and saying that none of the other stuff matters. Then we get to a really solid prospect in Caleb Tiernan out of Northwestern, 6'7", 325. Coming out of Northwestern, he's coming out of what some people call left tackle U, following guys like Rashawn Slater, Peter Skoronski, etc. Very well known for their tackles, especially left tackles, which he is almost exclusively. Played some right tackle in his second year, but 5 years at Northwestern. Very much a pass blocker more than anything else. Pass blocking grades in 5 years, even though the first year he basically didn't play, but it fits. 71, 73, 73, 89, 84. So the last 2 years, very, very good pass blocking. 2024, his run blocking actually was quite good, but he's got 4 other years, I guess 3 other years of being very average. So I would expect that to be more of what you would expect from him. Apparently, despite his 6'7" frame, he's got relatively short arms. So we're having the short arm discussion. I guess he talks about Rashawn Slater and how he was in a similar situation as a tackle that was relatively tall but had arms that don't match his height, and so there's talk about could he be kicked inside. He's got great leadership qualities. Apparently, he's one of those guys that doesn't speak much, but when he does, the entire team shuts up and listens very closely. Despite not being one of the top tackles, at least as of right now, a lot of guys see him as probably the safest tackle prospect in the class, highest floor guy. He's got a lot of experience at a very good program. Very technically refined. He's a zone guy, so if you got a zone-style team, he's probably going to fit a little bit better in your system. And again, if you're looking for a comp, look no further than Peter Skoronski. Very, very similar type of prospect. Elite pass protector, short arms, kick him inside, plenty of success there. He also adds the tackle depth element. Even if you like him most at guard, if you're in a pinch and you need a tackle, you got a guy that has a ton of tackle experience that you could possibly slot outside and save your season. I think what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to play this for you. I mean, this is kind of a breakdown of his path. We've talked about him a couple times. Todd McShay seems to know how to say his name, so I'll let him handle it. It's just a couple minutes. I'm going to let this ride out here about Ihanachor.
At the end of the day, Ihanachor is an awesome story. His family moves from Nigeria to America at the age of 13 years old. He's not playing organized soccer, but he was a soccer player and he's continued to do some of that, but he played organized basketball. He's a big dude, obviously. He was like in the 290s playing high school basketball. Corey DeSanti was his AAU coach in basketball. And Corey DeSanti said, man, like, you're a good basketball player, but look at your frame, like, look in the mirror. You could play football at a really high level. So the basketball coach at AAU gets him in touch with like some people in football. He goes to East LA Community College, goes there, shows some promise. The Fresno State offensive line coach starts a relationship. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State winds up hiring him to be the offensive line coach at Arizona State. So because of that relationship that he developed with this offensive tackle who didn't really know what he was doing, never played high school football, 1 year at community college in East LA, he says, why don't we give him a shot? I've been recruiting this guy at Fresno. I think there's something there. Dillingham and the offensive line coach give him a shot. He comes in, and pretty early, like 2023, he was forced into the weeds. Had 1 year and had to play in 6 games, start 5 games because they had a rash of injuries. And he winds up hanging in there. It wasn't all pretty. Starts all 14 games at right tackle, starts to get a hang of it in 2024. 2025, he's on every scouting list. And we watch him here, and I would argue he's the best offensive tackle in the entire game all week, even though there was some up and down, yes. But from a talent standpoint and what he showed in terms of his ability, I'm not saying he's a first rounder, There's no chance he gets out of the top 50 picks. I'm like, bank that right now.
So that was in regard to the Senior Bowl and what he was able to do there. Dominant player. He's actually at consensus 50 right now. I think I'll add that to my list that McShay says there's zero chance he gets out of the top 50. But yeah, he 3 years at Arizona State, got significantly better every year. I mean, his first year, he didn't really start, but he played, a third of a season or so. Had a 46 grade, 47 run blocking, 51 pass blocking. The next year jumps up to 65 run blocking, 72 pass blocking, and then it jumps up to 67 and 78. So, for a guy that was not familiar with football, brand new to this, goes very small school, goes to a bigger school, they start teaching him. He finally starts and he's good, and then he starts again and he's even better. He gave up 0 sacks in 2025. Even though a 78 grade is not necessarily elite, it's a grade that I much prefer to some of these other guys because it's very consistent. He had one game against West Virginia where his pass blocking was a 51. Still no sacks in that game. Otherwise, it's just like 80, 70, 70, 80, 70, 70, 70, 60, 70, 50, 80, 70. It's like 80, 70, 80, 70, 80. He's just good all the time. And the run blocking, even though it's not great, a bad day for him is a 55. A good day for him is a 65. I mean, he's just in that range every single week. He's a very solid, consistent guy, and he's still, 6'6", 330. He's massive. And he's still learning, and he's still growing. He's a guy that offensive line coaches are going to be fighting over because he's a toolsy guy that just needs coaching. Senior Bowl, I guess, kind of propelled him from a third-round pick to a potential first-rounder. If he does slip into the first round, we're probably talking about 3 first-round picks for Arizona State, which would be wild. But fun story for sure, and a guy with a really, really high upside. Okay, let's take our final break. We'll come back and rip through our final 2, 4, 6, 7 guys. Take a break. We'll be right back. Next up, we got Blake Miller, who is a right tackle for Clemson. 6'6", 315. Let me check if he's got anything official here. I don't see anything. So we'll go 6'6", 315. The guy is, he's one of those athletic freaks. He holds every high school record known to man. 352 snaps in high school, never allowed a sack. Also played nose tackle in high school. Ran track, state champion, wrestler. Still holds a bunch of weight room records at his high school. 4-star recruit. Got offers to just about everywhere, including Ohio State, but he decided Clemson over Ohio State despite being a childhood Buckeyes fan. Became only the 4th true freshman offensive lineman to start since 1972 at Clemson when he won the right starting job in fall camp. Started every single game of his 4-year career, 54 consecutive starts, which is a Clemson record for a non-specialist. Broke Mitch Hyatt's record with 3,778 career offensive snaps, which is a Clemson all-time record. 3-time All-ACC, 3rd team 2023, 1st team 2024, 1st team 2025. So the guy he's just an Iron Man workhorse. Just, the All-American boy, since day one. He's only missed 2 practices in his entire 4-year college career. Not games, we're talking practices. We're talking practice. He fractured his wrist one spring, missed just 1 practice. He was so embarrassed, according to teammates. Walker Parks, his teammate Walker Parks said that Miller had surgery over spring break, came back with a club arm, and was embarrassed that he missed a practice. His embrace of the grind is unmatched in Clemson history. Could have opted out of the Pinstripe Bowl to protect the draft stock, because he was invited to the Senior Bowl. Instead, he played because he needed just 43 more snaps to break Mitch Hyatt's all-time Clemson snack record. His teammate, again, says if you're looking for a guy who can play 10 years at the next level, you never have to worry about what he's feeling or what he's going through. That dude is going to be the same every single day. So, this in and of itself obviously has value. There's questions about his ability out there. Obviously, everybody's got their critiques. But, if you have belief that this guy can do the job, you got to love this. Gave up just 6 sacks looking at true pass sets according to PFF in his 4 full years. We're talking, by the way, 3,762 offensive snaps, nearly 1,000 per year over 4 years. I mean, as a rookie, he played his most snaps, 994 snaps as a freaking rookie. By the way, gotten better. He's been a good run blocker every year, 70s across the board. His pass blocking went from 64 to 73 to 76 to 84. So he continued to get better and better as a pass blocker. Couple comps for him: Luke Gadecki, Braxton Jones, another guy that's seen as sort of a high floor, low ceiling type of a prospect. Safe, you could call him. Then we got Jennings Dunker, another guy that's probably going to play inside, but he's listed a tackle, so we'll go with that. One of my favorite guys in the draft so far. Just a classic, corn-fed Midwest. Dude's got a rockin' mullet. His diet is, 10,000 calories of Culver's butter burgers. I mean, the guy is just a freaking monster. Seems like a cool guy, but also just a classic, he's just an offensive lineman. It's one of those things where the team will look at the offensive line and go, those guys are freaking weird. It's a bunch of Jennings Dunkers. 4 years at Iowa, started 3 of them. In those years, his pass blocking, 74, 76, 77, so it's been solid all 3 years. His run blocking really exploded post-2023, so 2023 was a 65, 2024 was a 90, and then 2025 was an 80. Went down a touch, but still, over those 2 years, very good run blocker. Primarily played right tackle. 2,000 of his 2,200 snaps came at right tackle. He did play a little bit in his rookie year of right and left guard, which he did not perform very well as a rookie. So not a ton of experience, so it's a lot of projection about him on the interior. But I think there's a lot of first of all, it's not 100% that whoever drafts him is going to move him inside. He may end up playing tackle, but there's just a lot of talk about him being moved inside, and I think there's a lot of belief that he will thrive in that environment. He's described as the most interesting man in college football. Said he looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger playing the Terminator. Former Iowa center Brian Ferentz says if you cut him open and there was a cyborg underneath, it wouldn't shock me. Asked about his flowing red mullet and mustache, he says, I just think it would help me block better. So last year I went with the buzz cut and the mustache. Just feeling dangerous. I friggin' love this guy. Packers obviously can't get him, but I don't know. Somebody's going to be very fortunate to snag this guy. He's described, as I've mentioned this before, described as a weapons grade ginger. Oh man, that is the best freaking nickname for anybody ever. A weapons grade ginger. It's been described as a Paul Bunyan-like figure. Claims he eats 10,000 calories on game day. He's surprisingly a voracious reader. Not what you would expect. Wide-framed, mullet-rocking, weapons-grade ginger with an attitude in the trenches. Looks like a lumberjack with sawed-off legs, long flowing red hair, and beard who just got off a logging truck. Apparently has exceptional wingspan, so really long arms. So there's no long arm objection for him on the outside. I don't know if that's official yet, but that seems to be his a 6 foot 10 inch wingspan is what he's listed as having. It is pretty well unanimous that he's going to kick inside to guard so far. He has mediocre foot quickness, which is more of the bigger issue here. He's been compared to guys like Christian Mahogany. Speaking of, apparently he's got some talk about him possibly being a good fit for Detroit. I don't know if they're looking to already upgrade. I know they got some young guys on the interior over there, but it could be an interesting fit possibly for Detroit. Kind of seen as a good culture fit for them. He has had a couple injuries over the years: shoulder surgery, knee injury, broken sesamoid bone. I don't know exactly what that is, but apparently scouts are not overly concerned. As always, they're going to get their hands on him, get the medicals going, and see if there's anything that pops up, but there isn't expected to be. Next up, we've got Monroe Freeling. By the way, we are currently, I don't think I mentioned this before, so Jennings Dunker is at consensus 38. So we're talking late first, early second territory as of right now. Freeling is in the same boat. He's at 33. So he is right there knocking on the door. Offensive tackle out of Georgia. Had a big breakout year this year, looking at some of the PFF stats. So 2023, he gets his first opportunity to play but not start. Only plays 167 snaps, 70 run blocking, 50 pass blocking. So it's a little bit rough. The next year at Georgia, by the way, he played left and right tackle, almost nearly evenly split. Next year at Georgia, 2024, 400 snaps at left tackle, 184 at right tackle. So, it's a split again. 70 grade, 71 run blocking, 65 pass blocking. That's an improvement in both. 2025, he gets a start at left tackle. 881 snaps at left tackle, just 1 at right tackle. Has a 62 run blocking grade, which is his worst, but still fine. 86 pass blocking grade. So he really, really improved. In fact, you look at the week to week, 70, 70, 70, 80, 70, 70, 90, 60, 70, 80, 70, 80, 70, 80. I mean, it was just every week freaking dominant. So big explosion in 2025, listed at 6'7", 315. By the way, I found the official Senior Bowl. Jennings Dunker was there, came in at 6'5", 320. Don't have official for Freeling, so we'll stick with 6'7", 315. Freeling from South Carolina, played football and basketball, well known for his high-flying dunks. Being 6'7" helps, but also just an extremely athletic guy. A lot of explosion. Originally listed as a 5-star recruit by some services, ultimately was listed as a 4-star recruit, 93 nationally, 9th offensive tackle, number 1 recruit in South Carolina in the 23 class. Listed at 6'7", 285 at the time. Obviously, he bulked up a little in college. Got recruited by just about everyone: Notre Dame, Clemson, South Carolina, Alabama, Miami, Florida, Georgia, on and on and on. Between the 2024 and 2025 seasons, he underwent off-season shoulder surgery. Kind of struggled in 2024 as well. Had a really bad game in the Sugar Bowl, gave up multiple sacks to Notre Dame. So, again, if this was a year earlier, I mean, he probably wasn't really on the radar as of 2024 coming into 2025 and kind of put himself on the map a little bit. But 2025 rolls around, his junior year. He gets named the starting left tackle, played in all 14 games, started 13 because he exited Kentucky first quarter with a high ankle sprain. Didn't practice all week, didn't start versus Auburn, whatever. Second team All-SEC 2025. Apparently has a 7-foot wingspan with arms over 34 inches. Elite length that evaluators are going to drool over. One scout wrote, has 84-inch wingspan, dual sport profile, includes basketball, dunking ability, shows off explosion. Gets comps to guys like Walker Little, former Stanford offensive tackle. So kind of similar to a few of the other guys. He's more in line with being an elite traits guy that is not a finished product. I mean, you can say that about Dunker. You can say that about just about anybody we've talked about so far. But people are going to get excited. He's a 6'7" athletic freak is what he is. And so far be it from being a plug-and-play starter, I think he's a guy that has a lot of traits that people are going to get really excited about. Then we crack into the official first-round prospects here. Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah, is currently on the consensus board, the number 23 prospect in the draft. He is from Gilbert, Arizona, and is of Tongan descent, finalist for the Polynesian College Football Player of the Year award. If you listen to me on Packernet, I've mentioned before I'm a big fan of the Polynesians. They just seem to have unfair bodies. Big dudes that play as though they don't realize they're big. Like, you're not supposed to move like that, dude. Your body's too big. But he's a 4-star recruit. Eventually went to Utah in November of 2022. 2023, true freshman, redshirted, played just 25 snaps in 3 games. So 2024 was his redshirt freshman year, and that was when he actually got his start. He had a really, so he's a starting left tackle, 770 snaps at left tackle, 75 grade, 70 run blocking, 76 pass blocking. The pass blocking got better, went to an 82. Run blocking went down to a 62. He stayed at left tackle, so he's got almost 1,600 snaps there at left tackle for his career. Really good, really consistent pass blocking. It was only the Texas Tech game he struggled against, which makes sense considering it's Texas Tech. The run blocking it's it's typical. It's a typical like Packers offensive lineman. Good pass blocker, couldn't give a crap about run block. He's average to, he's average-ish. He is part of a very good offensive line unit. In fact, there's another Utah guy we're going to be talking about who is potentially a top 5 pick this year in the draft. He made all-academic Big 12 and CSC academic all-district. So, intelligence in football is always a good thing. ESPN's Jordan Reed ranked him number 1 pure tackle. So that's not very typical, but Jordan Reed is a pretty respected guy and obviously is a big fan of Caleb Lomu. He is a very popular pick for the 49ers right now. There's a lot of talk about the 49ers possibly looking for their Trent Williams replacement, that heir apparent. Caleb Lomu is just sitting right in the perfect spot to where in and abouts they're going to be drafting. So a very popular pick for them. I think the one, you could call it a critique, is that he's kind of a boom or bust. The gap between the floor and the ceiling are considered very wide. In other words, he could be incredibly good. He could also be incredibly bad. General consensus belief that at 6'6", 308, he's a little undersized. They're probably going to have to hit him in the weight room a little bit. But obviously that's not going to be that big of a deal. It's just kind of a question of, putting on the weight and then learning to play with that weight. He does a good job handling speed, but I think right now handling power is kind of going to be his biggest issue. But again, you get him in the weight room and help him to deal with that stuff. He is expected to test very well, which makes sense. I think the Texas Tech thing, some people are kind of concerned about that. I mentioned he's great across the board except for Texas Tech. And you say, well, obviously Texas Tech is what they are. Yeah, but on the other way to look at that is that is the true NFL comp right there. That's the game you want to see how they perform. You know what I mean? I mean, congrats on, tearing up Cal Poly and Kansas State, but I want to see how you handle some of these Texas Tech guys. I get that they're potentially going to be very, very good players in the pros, but you're going to face a guy like that every other week in the NFL. So it's definitely not disqualifying, but it's going to make people a little uneasy. And then we get to Caden Proctor. He is at consensus 20, so very similar to Lomu, out of Alabama. He is most commonly mocked to the Detroit Lions as of right now. He is just kind of extremely well-rounded, very much just a left tackle. Has not played a single snap at any other offensive position in college, but the linear growth has been impressive. So his first year, his run blocking went from 67 to 69 to 81. Explosion. His pass blocking went from 59 to 72, which is a giant leap, and then to an 84, which is another giant leap. So this year, he had an 86 grade, 81 run blocking, 84 pass blocking overall. Just 2 penalties this year, 10 in total, so very low penalties. He started since day one. I mean, he's just been one of those guys that the second he showed up, he played. He continues to play. He continues to get better. It's not that he dominated every snap of every year, but he played every year. He got better every year. Caden Proctor was, coming out of high school, he was the dude. Hilariously went to Polk High. If you know, you know. 5 touchdowns in a single game and whatnot. Not Caden, somebody else. Anyways, 5-star recruit, number 1 offensive tackle in the 2023 class. Initially committed to his hometown Iowa Hawkeyes, flipped to Alabama on signing day to play for Nick Saban's NFL Tackle Factory. But that's only part of the story. Saban retired in 2024. Proctor transferred back to Iowa, but after just 3 months, he realized his mistake and transferred back to Alabama in April 2024. He later said it was because Iowa never mentioned national championship as part of their expectations, basically said they weren't thinking big enough. That's a brutal shot at Iowa's culture. But dude is 6'7", 366. Holy schmackalones. Bruce Feldman did put him on his freak list, put him number 2, actually. 274 pounds of lean muscle mass, which is wild. 815-pound squat, 535 bench, 405 power clean, 32-inch vertical jump, same as some wide receivers at the combine, and a 9.3 broad jump. There's a viral video from high school of him pushing a Ford F-150 truck during training. Iowa actually leased him a truck as part of his NIL package because of that video, which he had to give back when he transferred to Alabama. He's just 20 years old, played through a torn labrum all of the 2025 season that he suffered in pregame warmups before his season opener, and has actually played as an eligible receiver in some games. In fact, looks like 14 different times, including against Georgia in 2025. There is some talk, as always, about kicking him inside, this time not because he can't move enough or not because he has too long of arms, but because he's too big. Some talk about him being kind of a Mekhi Becton type of player, saying he's either going to have to slim way down or probably move inside. All right, final two, and now we make a big jump. So Caden Proctor was at 20 overall. Spencer Fano, however you say it, is at 5. He is the other Utah player. In fact, he was the left tackle, and Lomu came in. They made him the left tackle, kicked Spencer over to right tackle. Spencer wasn't a great left tackle in 2023. He had a 59 grade, 61 run blocking, 54 pass blocking. So we're going to bring in this other guy. Well, Spencer moves over to right tackle in 2024 and just explodes. 93 PFF grade, 94 run blocking, 80 pass blocking. Just a dominant player. It did go down a little bit, his run blocking anyways. 2025, 84 overall, 80 run blocking, 82 pass blocking. Still very, very good. He's got the bloodlines. He's got cousin that's actually also declaring, his brother Logan, who also plays for Utah. In addition to that, though, he had 4 uncles that played in the NFL. He had one uncle named Gabe Reed, who played for the Bears, Spencer Reed, who played for the Panthers, Tenny Pelapoi, who played for the Chargers, and Anton Pelapoi, who played for the Broncos and the Seahawks. He was named Polynesian College Player of the Year in 2025, won the Outland Trophy, awarded to the top interior lineman, even though he's a tackle, which I don't understand. Unanimous All-American, PFF First-Team All-American, AP Second-Team All-American, Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year, 2-time First-Team All-Big 12 in 24 and 25, Academic All-Big 12, Freshman All-American. PFF named him the number 1 returning offensive lineman before the 2025 season. A lot of people do see him as the top tackle prospect. Obviously, we're very, very close. If you're the number 5 overall, there's going to be a discussion about who's actually the top guy. Considered a run game savant, one scout said he's the best and most consistent technique as a run blocker I've ever scouted. Multiple scouts see him as week 1 ready, can come in and play right away. Some people have comped him to Bernard Raymond, the Colts right tackle. Right now, he's most commonly mocked at 6 to the Cleveland Browns. All right, finally, Francis Mauigoa, I think is how you say his name. Let me make sure I got that right. Mauinoa? Come on now, that's not even fair. I was so close, and you're like, oh, the G's actually an N. Shut up. This nonsense. Looks like it's Mauinoa or something. I don't know. Freaking nobody knows how to say it, okay? Everybody's wrong. 3 years at Miami, Florida. Had his big breakout year 2025, but he's been good since day one. Run blocking grades were 70, 70, and 77. Pass blocking, 65, 72, 87, so got better all the time. Almost exclusively played right tackle outside of 10 snaps at right guard. Just a brief stint against Pittsburgh and Texas A&M. He played a couple snaps there. But otherwise, he has been very, very consistent. Does not have bad days as a pass blocker, at least not in 2025. Lowest graded game was against Syracuse. He had a 66 grade. He gave up just 2 sacks, 4 hits, 9 hurries, 15 total pressures in the entire season. He is most commonly seen as the first tackle to go in this class, although, again, Spencer Fano is going to be in the discussion. But he is most commonly mocked right now to the Arizona Cardinals at 3. He was actually born in, and I'm not even going to try to say the name of the place he was born in, but it's in American Samoa. Traveled over 7,000 miles to chase his NFL dream. He played at Aquinas High in California and then at the IMG Academy in Florida, arriving at Miami as a consensus 5-star recruit. His older brother, Francisco Kiki Mauigoa, a linebacker who was drafted by the Jets in 2025. To avoid confusion, they go by Cici and Kiko. This is Cici, so we're clear. Before playing football, he started off playing volleyball and rugby in Samoa. Often speaks about Samoan warrior culture, famously saying in interviews that if you aren't a scholar on the island, the next best thing is to destroy people on the football field. That's fair. There's another guy that was a staple on Bruce Feldman's freak list. Despite being 6'6", 335, he has an elite 10-yard split of 1.72, which is terrifying for a man that size. As always, there's an inside-outside debate. I mean, it's worthwhile talking about it because some of these guys are going to kick inside, but I just roll my eyes every time because for some people, I swear everybody has to kick inside. Oh, they got to go inside. They got to go inside. They got to go inside. Freaking shut up, dude. Somebody's got to play tackle. There is potentially the talk, though, even if it's not that he can't play tackle, it's just he can be a good tackle and an all-pro guard kind of a thing. Nickname a lot of people are throwing around is the Samoan Steamroller. He is a strong people mover type of guy. Started every single game since he stepped onto campus, over 2,800 snaps. He gave up 5 sacks in his first season, gave up no more than 2 in his final 2 seasons. Frequently compared to Talieisi Fuaga or Darnell Wright, massive, powerful right tackles who can anchor a line for a decade. So again, early on, we're talking about very toolsy guys that might end up being phenomenal. They might end up being better than some of these other, the more recent first-round picks we talked about. But there's just questions. We don't know. They got late starts or they just haven't put it all together, even though they have elite traits and all this stuff. The last couple guys, they're good. They've always been good. They're nothing but good. They're going to continue to be good. They can play day one. They can play tackle. They can play guard. Again, anybody can bust, but there's just no questions. It's just an easy check the box. This person has all the traits, has all the measurables, has everything that you need. It's just all right there waiting for you. All right, folks, I'm going to leave it at that. Tomorrow we'll probably shift over to interior offensive line, I would assume. Let's see how many we have. Yeah, there's a manageable amount here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9-ish. That sounds perfect. So we'll focus on interior guys tomorrow. Be sure to get any of your calls in. The phone number here is 608-561-3243. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.